Good day, students. You are welcome to the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. My name is Ogini Odlushola Udiato, a counseling psychologist with the counseling unit of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. It is with great pleasure that I congratulate and welcome you to this great university. Many students encounter challenges in the university because they know so little about themselves. Experiences and researches have proven that a great number of newly admitted university students are leaving their homes for the first time to a new environment with less supervision. As we adjust to this new environment, issues of personal identity will emerge. Many students have unfortunately missed their way by bowing to pressure or peer pressure at this point. Much as you may find friends useful, you will need to constantly reflect and turn your minds inward to know who you are. Please note that achieving success in life is a matter of making the right choices. Having said that, let's go on to the topic of today, which is substance abuse and its implication. I'm very sure that many of you will not be new to substance abuse or the meaning of substance or the meaning of drug abuse. I'll be using the words interchangeably. The course introduction. Psychoactive substance use continues to be a global problem. A survey done by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, found that in 2014, 247 million people between ages 15 and 64 used illicit substances at least once in the previous year. Consequently, a significant number of the people who use psychoactive substances develop substance use disorder. The course outline. The course has the following outline. 1. The meaning of drugs, drug abuse, substance use disorder, addiction, classes of drugs, routes of drug administration, reason why people abuse drugs, consequences of drug abuse, ways of saying no to substance abuse. The course content. In the course content, we will be looking at the definition and meaning of drugs, substance abuse, substance use disorder, addiction, classes of drugs, routes of drug administration, the global problem resulting from drug use, reasons why drugs are abused, consequences of drug abuse, and ways of resisting temptation to abuse drugs. Learning objectives. At the end of this lecture, students will be expected to be knowledgeable about the meaning of drugs, types of illegal and legal substances, reason why substances are abused, implication of abusing drugs, routes of drug administration, and ways to avoid being addicted, as well as imbibing coping strategies. What is drug? In pharmacology, drug is any chemical agent that alters the biochemical or physiological process of body tissues or organisms. In common usage, which we all know, a substance that is used for non-medical reasons. Example, recreational reasons. Substance abuse. This is the indiscriminate use of psychoactive substances or drugs. Substance use disorder is termed or referred to as the recurrent use of alcohol and or drug resulting in clinically and functionally significant impairment such as health issues, disability, failure to meet major responsibilities at work, school, or home. Addiction. This is the chronic relapsing brain disease that is characterized by compulsive substance seeking and use despite harmful consequences. That means despite knowing that these substances are harmful, we go ahead to use those substances or drugs. Such is referred to as addiction. Some people who suffer from social anxiety, stress-related disorders, and depression start abusing substances to lessen feelings of distress, which eventually leads to addiction. Please also note, it's very important to note that no matter the reason for using psychoactive substances, no one ever plans to become addicted. People who are addicted to psychoactive substances just wanted to try it once or a few times. Every person who has substance use disorder started out as an occasional user. As time passes by and use continues, a person can go from voluntary use to compulsive use. Now, the global problem. It is alarming to note that 12 million people injected drugs in 2014. About 14% of those who injected, of these 12 million people who injected drugs, are HIV positive. About 52% of these 12 million people who injected drugs were affected with hepatitis C virus. That is from the UNODC report in 2016, World Drug Report. Now, the global consequences. Global consequences of substance use disorder are far-reaching and include: 1. Higher rates of hepatitis and tuberculosis. 2. Lost productivity. A lot of man-hours powers are lost in the process of drug use. Injuries and death from automobiles and other accidents. Overdose deaths, that means drug overdose deaths, related deaths. Suicide and violence are all consequences of substance abuse or drug abuse. Now, effect of psychoactive substances. Some of the effects of psychoactive substances include: 1. It affects the body's central nervous system, that is the brain. It affects the brain. 2. Psychoactive substances changes how people behave or what is happening around them. 3. It alters mood, it alters thoughts, it alters sensory perception, and it also alters behavior. Now, having said that, let us go to the classes of drugs. The classes of drugs include, there are 4 major classes I've listed out here, but there are some other ones that are not in these 4 classes. We shall look at them as we proceed. The first one is stimulants, which includes cocaine, amphetamine, nicotine, and caffeine. Second class is opioids, which includes heroin, morphine, opium, and demerol. The third class is depressants, which includes alcohol, barbiturates, benzene, GBH, and rofinol. The fourth one is hallucinogens, which includes lysergic acid, mescaline peyote, ecstasy, and then some type of mushrooms. Now, some psychoactive substances that do not neatly fit into the above classification are common: cannabis, which we all know as marijuana, mira, inhalants. We have inhalants too, so which include solvents, gases, nitrates, and a lot of others that do not fit into the above classifications. But I want you to note that just because a substance is legal does not make it safer than an illegal substance. For instance, what do I mean? In the first class of drug which we took here, there is among the list, there is nicotine, there is caffeine. Nicotine and caffeine can be found in a lot of drinks we find around, but that does not make it safe for our consumption. If you look at the other one, which is depressant, you have the alcohol, which is a social drug, which is there. It does not even make, for the fact that it's legal, it is allowed, and people can use it. People use it all over. Does not even make it less safer than the illegal substances. So we should please take note of this. Now, routes of administration. How do these drugs go into our system? We have 1. Swallowing, snorting, smoking, inhaling fumes, intramuscular injection, subcutaneous injection, intravenous injection, topical, and sublingual. This is a pictorial representation of what I just said earlier. You have the oral, which includes tablets, capsule, orally disintegrated tablets, buccal tablets, sublingual tablets, mini tablets, thin films, and lozenge, solution, suspension, and the rest of them like that. Then the ones you can inhale, you have dry powders, you have liquid sprays. Then the nasal, you have nasal drops and nasal sprays. Then the otic, You have the topical, the intratympanic, and the intraocular. Then you have the ocular. You have the solution, the emulsion, suspension, ointment, contact lens, implants, inserts, intravitreal. Then the topical or is also topical or transdermal, which includes ointment. What do you mean topical or trans? It means the skin, which drugs that can be absorbed through the skin. Ointment, creams, lotion, gel, spray, patches. And then there are another way of another route of administration is the rectal, which is the anus or the vagina. There are some drugs that can go through into those routes, which includes enema, tablets, pessary, gel, cream, foam, sponge, and the rest of them like that. So progression of use. How does drug progress? How does it progress to get to the addictive stage? The first one is the non-use, which is abstinence, and that is what is recommended for all students, for everybody, not only students, for everybody. The abstinence means at the stage at which you don't consume or you don't use any drugs of these drugs or substances, except those ones that are recommended by the medical doctor. Now the second stage is experimental, which is recreational stage. You want to experiment by using it. Let me experiment and see if this will work this way, if this will work that way. Then the other one is circumstantial, which is after the experimental stage you move to the circumstantial stage. This stage is so occasional use. You want to go on a show, you want to go for an examination, you want to do different things at those particular points in time. So you use those drugs to fit in or to be able to perform those tasks effectively. Now after that circumstantial stage, it goes to the intensified stage, which is the regular use. After the regular use, then it goes to the compulsive use. Then you become addicted and then you are stuck. Now there's also a pictorial representation here of the criteria for substance abuse disorder, which is craving to use the substance. After using it, you're now wanting to cut down or stop, but not managing to, unfortunately, taking the substance in larger amounts for no longer than you are meant to, then neglecting other parts of your life because of substance use, then continuing to use even when it causes problem in relationship, then using substance even when it puts you in danger, then that the problem comes. That is what is referred to as substance use disorder. It becomes a disorder at that point. Now, reasons why people use substances. People use substances for curiosity. People use substances because friends are using it. My friends are using it, let me also use it. That is what informed my earlier statement, in which I said that many students have unfortunately missed their way on campus or in the university setting by bowing to peer pressure. At this point, they find themselves in a university, in an environment like this. Curiosity, because my friends are using it, I also want to use it. That is not, you must be able to identify yourself and not, you came to university alone, so you don't need to follow your friends and do whatever they are doing. Now, to feel good and celebrate. Some people use substance to feel good and celebrate, to feel better too. Some people use it to feel better, which includes lessen feelings of depression or sadness. Maybe they are depressed or sad, they use drugs to feel relieved. They feel less anxious, to feel less anxious. They're anxious, they use drugs to feel less anxious. They want to reduce their stress, they use drug to reduce stress. They use substance when they are tired. They use to lessen pain and to feel more at ease socially. Some people, they are socially shy. They cannot come out, they cannot do things in the open except they are on the influence of drugs. So another reason is to do better. That means to improve concentration or study longer, to feel sharper, to improve athletic performance, to stay awake longer, to do more work in a shorter period of time. All these are reasons why people use drugs. Now, this is also very important. The pictorial representation of underlying causes of student substance addiction. The causes: one, stress, like I mentioned earlier, mental disorder, family history of abuse, and peer pressure. I've mentioned peer pressure earlier. Now, consequences. What are the consequences of drug use and addiction? The consequences of drug use and addiction are: one, individuals who have addiction are more likely to be injured in fights or accidents of all kinds. Two, Drug use may trigger mental disorders or make it worse for individuals with specific vulnerabilities. I'll take that again. Drug use may trigger mental disorders or make it worse for individuals with specific vulnerabilities. Compromise the immune system, making the user susceptible to disease. Drug abusers are more likely to contract major diseases such as HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, tuberculosis, and other infectious diseases. Drug and alcohol abuse can disrupt brain functions in areas critical to motivation, memory, learning, judgment, and behavior control. Hence, young people who abuse drugs are faced with poor academic performance and health-related problems. This is your number one enemy in the university. Once you are not able to perform well in your first year of entry of the university, definitely you'll be shown the way out. So one of the consequences of drug use and addiction is the ability to make you perform poorly and make you also to be sick all the time. So by the end of the first year, you are booted out of the system. So that is why you must avoid using drugs. Decrease productivity, increase medical costs, social and financial costs of drug-related crimes, increase spread of infectious diseases. Summarily, a drug abuser may suffer a range of consequences such as medical, legal, social, and economic. Say no to substance abuse. When invited to take drugs, say no repeatedly. Hello to the dangerous side effects. If substance users are discussing about drugs they abuse, change the subject. Suggest something else to do. Avoid hanging around with drug users, because the saying that says that show me your friends and I will show you who you are. Gradually, if you go around with drug users, one day you will be tempted to also be like them. So avoid hanging out with drug users. Another proverb says that if a goat follows a dog, one day the goat will also eat physics. So please avoid hanging around with drugs, because they might pull you to join them. If the pressure seems too stressing, walk away. Now finally, I want you to note this. Report to professionals in the counseling unit, Unity Building Block B, where all information are treated with utmost confidentiality. You may be saving a life. Course summary: psychoactive substance use substantive substance use is a global problem, has global consequences and are far-reaching, and some of those problems, for example, include higher rates of HIV/AIDS, hepatitis, tuberculosis, lost productivity, injuries, and deaths due to automobile and other accidents, overdose, hospitalization, suicide, and violence. Say no to drugs. I wish you a fruitful stay in the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. Thank you.